your foxy writer, Brandy Ackerley, and today we'll be reading the next chapter in my novel, Hunter's Gambit. As always, if you like what I'm doing here, please like the video and share, subscribe. If you feel so inclined, please leave a comment or question in the comments below, or you can even email me at inkedfoxpress@gmail.com if you want your comment or questions to be anonymous. Oh, WWC was so amazing! Oh, I'm going to have to decompress before I discuss it rationally, though. As always, it's a work weekend for me, no matter how much I'm enjoying it. Oh, it's really tough, though. It's so awesome. In addition to the 3 panels I was on and the solo presentation I gave, I must have attended a good 20 other classes? But by far the best part of the weekend was seeing all of my friends. Even if we did have a screen between us. Anyways, I'll give the full review and say what I learned and whatnot on Friday, so look forward to that. Now, last week, Kuzunoha went to see Deckard, and the two argued over everything? And while it's clear enough that Kuzunoha still has feelings for her ex, she has not seen that he clearly hasn't gotten completely over her either. Though they didn't end in the best place, Deckard has agreed to not stand in her way anymore. Now, on with the show. Okay, just let me pull up the book here. And perfect. Maya. Her father had hired the maid when Kuzunoha had been budding into womanhood. Maya had been the pretty one then, 2 years older with the body of a woman. Kuzunoha had been sure she would outpace the girl. But Kuzunoha had stayed slim and tiny, and Maya had stayed pretty and curvy, more like Himiko than herself. Kuzunoha could see why Richard had seduced her. "What do you need, miss?" "Please run a bath for me, and then I'll need you on hand to dress tonight." It was her majority day tomorrow. She would be an adult, officially, and her sister would give her her autonomy. It meant less for her than it did for Himiko, of course. She wasn't inheriting anything. She didn't have anything waiting for her, but without it, she had no power to make her own decisions. She would still be a child before the law. If Kuzunoha left before, her sister could have sent others after her, forced her return, could have even attempted to punish Richard for going with her. If she didn't want to burn her bridges to everyone and everything in Edan, she needed Himiko to give her her freedom. "Of course. What would you like me to set out?" The cherry tree dress." Maya gaped at her. "Miss? The white and pink one?" The dress was an heirloom, brought from Sienku when their family came over, generations ago. Her father had wanted the dress to go to Himiko, but in a perfect instance of happenstance, her sister had grown too tall for it. Her father had begrudgingly given it to Kuzunoha instead. More than adequate for a simple dinner with Richard, but she wanted to wear it, and wanted everyone who saw her to remember that she wasn't a child anymore. A large part of her just wanted to look better than her sister had, at her majority. Yes, I think I'll also want the orange and red sashes for tonight." "Yes, miss," Maya said, nearly tripping over herself in her haste to get away. After the bath, with the expensive robe settled around her, Kuzunoha grinned. Its colors reflected a blooming cherry tree beside a river. She knew that the large ribbons that she had chosen to go with it would suit perfectly. Even Himiko wouldn't compare to her tonight. She heard the door to the house open and slam shut. Maya jumped, rushing out of the room the moment Kuzunoha gestured that she could leave. She hoped that she could get out of the house before Himiko got here, but Kuzunoha could deal with it if she didn't. It wasn't as if she didn't need to see Himiko tomorrow anyway. It was tradition that the head of the household give some sort of gift to any member that reached their majority. Knowing that they would need to talk soon usually resulted in both of them ignoring the other even more than they normally did. Her sister had always been contrary. She had just finished applying the lightest amount of kohl to her eyes when Himiko burst into her room. "What did you do, Kuzunoha?" Kuzunoha turned to her and knitted her eyebrows together. "Please be more specific, Himiko." Himiko gnashed her teeth together, loud enough that Kuzunoha could hear it. "You got Deckard. He showed up at my office and said that you were my problem to deal with, that it might be better if I let you go." Kuzunoha hadn't expected Deckard to do anything like that. For a moment, she just blinked, confused. "Have you considered that he might be right?" Himiko's expression suggested that she wasn't going to. "You're being stubborn and dragging the family's name down with you." "Treasure hunting," Himiko snorted. "I thought you were gullible, but not that gullible." "And why are you wearing that? Kuzunoha, that heirloom has been in the family for over 100 years. I certainly hope that you aren't primping this much to go meet with him." Kuzunoha's eyes narrowed. "Who I meet with and what I wear during those meetings isn't of your concern." Himiko entered the room and slammed the door behind her. "That's where you're wrong. You're a member of this family, which means that everything you do reflects back on me. That's why you get away with so much. Nobody wants to discipline a member of the Tanaka family." Kuzunoha wanted to grind her own teeth together. "Excuse me, I don't think... You can't keep on this way. It's time to grow up. How can I trust you with a part of our family's heritage when you clearly don't respect any of it?" "How can you say that? I'm a grown woman. You're the one trying to keep me a child." "You are a child. One that can't even keep a job." "I don't call what Tim offered me a job," Kuzunoha said. Himiko pounced on the words. "You still quit," her sister said. "A clerk, Himiko! He gave me a job filing and rewriting out reports. Don't act like you don't know that." "To each their skill level," her sister quoted at her. Kuzunoha clenched her fist. Her father had made sure that she could do her job well enough to run the company. She had more skill than that of a simple clerk. "I learned from father, just as you did. If I didn't learn correctly, then maybe it's because he hadn't taught me correctly." Himiko's mouth thinned to a line. "Kuzunoha, if you leave with him, I will tell Harrison that you've been kidnapped." "Himiko, everyone knows that I want to do this." It didn't mean that her sister couldn't do it. "That doesn't mean you can do it. You're a child, Kuzunoha." "And as of tomorrow, I am not. You will be given your majority when I feel you are capable of making adult decisions." "You would deny me my majority?" Kuzunoha was speechless. You can't do that." "I can, Kuzunoha. You forget. I am your guardian, not just your sister. You do not have my permission for this venture." Himiko stormed off. Kuzunoha looked in the mirror. A perfect little doll in a perfect little dress. She wanted to break the perfect little image with her fist. Could she burn everything? Leave then for good after finding this treasure? She would have to if her sister decreed her an invalid before the law. If she left, she might be able to hide her shame from her employers, but she would never be able to hide from her ancestors. Every child she had would carry that shame. She remembered Richard's words. "As soon as we find the ship, you'll have a lot more influence to wave back at her." She finished packing her backpack with a few of the things that she didn't want to lose, her few important keepsakes. Then she looked at herself in the mirror again. She looked ridiculous. A backpack, too heavy for her sharp frame, strung over her shoulders, while wearing an outfit that wasn't suited for heavy wear. She'd have been better suited wearing her regular clothes. She left the room anyway. Maya was waiting near the front door. Mistress? Clean my room and extinguish the lights. If Himiko asks, tell her I've gone out. But... The girl glanced up towards Himiko's study. If she doesn't ask, you don't have to tell her. But... she said again. Kuzunoha took a step forward, and Maya flinched. The girl nodded too fast. Kuzunoha opened the door. A cool breeze hit her face, bringing scents of fire and cooking food on the air, as well as all the less pleasant scents within the town. Horse manure, piss, and the sickeningly sweet scent of rot. She steeled herself. Maya had been with them so long. She was one of the few remaining pure-blooded Sienku in the village. When Kuzunoha's father had been alive, he'd refused to hire otherwise to work as house servants. She kept her hair only long enough to sweep her shoulders, and her eyes were much darker than Kuzunoha's. In the dim light coming from outside, Kuzunoha couldn't tell where the brown ended and the black began in them. Maya, how is Richard in bed? Her maid turned red, from the black collar around her neck all the way up to her hairline, and said nothing. Kuzunoha winced a little herself. She hadn't meant that to sound as cruel as it had. I'm sorry. Kuzunoha stepped outside. She had a dinner to get to, and then later she would need to figure out a place to sleep. Okay, just let me put my book away here. Ah, perfect. Oh, eek! Oh, it's such a fun chapter. Himiko has put down her ultimatum, and Kuzunoha has called her bluff. In the least effective way as possible, but she did call it. Oh, it's a great chapter, full of wonderful conflict between Kuzunoha and her sister. And while some of it is certainly thrown Richard's way, it's clear that her budding relationship isn't actually the part that Himiko is really worried about. What she is worried about is her sister growing up, when she feels that she's entirely unprepared for the real world. And that's going to be it for me for tonight. Oh, I am exhausted. But I am still going to hang out on Twitch today with all of you, at least for a couple of hours. So hopefully I'll see you all there. Bye!